Maybe your mother is not the type of mother you can be open and honest and raw and vulnerable. It's unfortunate, but that's who your mother is. And what can you do? You can't change her. Yes, you want to be able to do all these kind of stuff with her, but if your mother is not capable of doing that, what do? You give it to yourself. Hello, my wonderful gems. How are you? I hope you're doing amazing. If you're a returning gem, welcome back. If you're new here, hello, how are you? Make sure you set out the vibe, and if you like what you're listening to, then please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so we'll just jump into the story for the episode. And I need my glasses. Ooh, where are they? All right. This is a short story from Reddit, and the title is How Do I Cope with My Mom Giving Me the Silent Treatment Every Time She's Upset with Me? Your mother's immature. But let's just dive in. I'm going through this right now, and I just need some real advice. This has happened since I was a kid. I don't think I'm taking it well, and I hate it so much I can't stand it. Anytime someone gets quiet around me or isn't talking much, I'm always assuming I did something wrong, and I have to ask if they're upset with me. I have an okay relationship with my mom, and it's not the best, but I genuinely don't like it when she does this. I just don't understand why anyone would do this to their kid or anyone in general. And for context, she is 19, her mom is 42. Okay, so I'm just gonna dive into the advice. Read the Children of Emotionally Immature Parent book. Is gonna give you a large clarity as to why your mom is acting like this. And another thing I want to remind you and anyone who is listening to this, your mother is 42 and you are 19. Our society expects women to act a certain way, especially when they become mothers. That does not mean every woman is mature enough to become a mother. Now, I'm not saying your mother is immature. Well, I did say she was immature, but I'm not saying your mother is completely immature. I'm sure there are days where she's a fabulous and fantastic woman. However, your mother was an individual and your mother was a person before she became your mother. The way she acts right now probably has something to do with her childhood. I don't know what it is. However, it is immature to shut your kid out. Spoken from a person who shuts people out. I don't have children, so I don't know. From an outsider looking in, it is kind of immature to shut your kid out when they do need you to talk with them. And I understand, part of being in a healthy relationship is excusing yourself if you feel like you're about to blow up on someone. You don't want to just release your emotion. You want to safely be able to convey what you want. So I do understand taking some time for yourself, processing what has happened before talking to the person. However, you do eventually have to talk to the person. And again, this is from someone who used to just shut people out and kind of still do if I don't feel like they're crap. But I wouldn't do that to the people I call friends or family or loved ones. But anyone else, I would shut you out. But anyways, so just giving you that prospect. And I think a lot of that has to do with childhood and how she was raised. Maybe when she was raised, she didn't feel like she could stand up for herself or she could talk, talk back. There's also a generational gap. Your mother is 42. Not to excuse her behavior, but I think that is, what's that? Early millennial or maybe Gen Xers. They were raised completely differently than you are as a Gen Zer at 19. Again, this is not to excuse her, but it is to give you context as to why she's acting the way she's acting. She's a product of her generation. That was a generation of kids are to be seen, not heard. You wouldn't talk back to your parents, otherwise you get hit. Like nowadays, we are doing gentle parenting. As a society, we learn our wrongs. Hopefully, we will learn our wrongs. Some societies, sometimes we don't, and we regress. Okay, but as generation progress, some aspects of society, not all, are going to learn they're wrong and want to do something differently. Now, I don't know how your mother was raised. I don't know how your grandparents are or if they're even still alive. Like, you can also look at how they treat her and stuff like that. But usually when someone shuts people out, it is because of their environment. It is because of how they're raised. Very rarely it is natural, which it happens to be natural for me. I don't know why. Very rarely is it natural, but it could also be natural. So I don't know, but have you ever voiced this to your mother? And if you have voiced it to her and she has basically dismissed you as if your feelings are not important, that is how I will refer you again to the book. It will give you a lot of perspective. And if she hasn't dismissed you, when you have brought it up to her, what did she say? Because sometimes we, like, a lot of us walk around with a lot of preconceived notion in our heads. And they can be good because they do help us make an accurate assessment of a person. Like I said in one of my live lessons, we all project to a degree. We project our expectations of how a person should be because they're a woman or a man or from a certain culture or a mom or a dad. We project our expectations to a certain degree. However, we should also allow people to show up as their real self. Now, I'm not saying you're not allowing your mother to show up as her real self. You are her child and you want affection from her. Completely, like, you listen, I understand. However, your mother is also a woman. Your mother is also an individual. And she went through life before you were born at 19, and it was completely different than how she is now. So the way she's responding might be due to what she has dealt on in her life. And maybe she hasn't tackled that trauma yet. She's 42. I know when you're a teenager, you think 42 is so old, but 42 is not that old. Okay. There are a lot of 42-year-olds who are still learning about life at 42 and even at 50. 42 is not that old. Your mother's relatively young and she's still learning. She's still learning. So do give her some grace and don't just expect her to do something. Because I know like even me, especially when I was younger, I will have expectations for people. It's like, you're 20 years old, or maybe you're 22. Why are you acting like a kid? And I will expect people to act correctly according to their physical age. But not everyone is raised like me. Just like you listening to me right now, you were probably not raised like me. We might have some similarities, which is why you're here listening to me and you're connecting to this message, but you were not raised like me. We have differences. And sometimes it's just best to talk it out and to ask, hey, remember when this happened? This is how I felt. And depending on how the person was raised, they'll probably apologize and tell you their intention if if they're a kind-hearted person and they value you in their life, they're gonna apologize or maybe tell you their intention. They didn't mean it like that. They only reacted because of blah blah blah. And you guys can hash it out. Now, if they really don't give a damn for you, which it does happen, right? There are people in life who just want to use and abuse us and don't really care for us that much. So if they really don't give a damn for you, they're probably gonna dismiss you. They're probably going to make you feel lesser than and make you feel worse to even bring up the conversation. Like they'll probably attack you for even bringing up the conversation in the first place. That's how you know, okay, this person is not for me. Okay. Whenever that happens, this person is not for me. And it also depends on when you bring up a conversation like this. If they're already maybe like in a mood or feeling something, maybe don't bring it up at that time and bring it on when stuff are more calm to see how they're going to react. So let's like life is nuanced and we learn as we go. And you're only 19. I get it. And you want your mom to talk to you. So my first advice would be tell her how you feel when she shuts you out. Tell her you don't like it. You feel like she doesn't love you. You feel like she doesn't value you. She doesn't see where you're coming from. You want to communicate with her. Yes, you've had an argument, but you still want your mother to be there. And if she's hopefully she'll be receptive to that. But if she's not, unfortunately, there's not much you can do. Because if she's not, your mother might just be the type of person who is more focused on herself. And it is unfortunate. We don't want to see our parents as the bad guy. Like, trust me, I have a lovely relationship with my mom. Anybody who says anything about my mom, I am pouncing on them. We don't want to see our parents as the bad guy, but some of our parents are the bad guy. Not all the time, but sometimes. Sometimes they are the bad guy. And it is something that we need to keep in mind. Maybe your mother is not the type of mother you can be open and honest and raw and vulnerable. It's unfortunate, but that's who your mother is. And what can you do? You can't change her. Yes, you want to be able to do all these kind of stuff with her, but if your mother's not capable of doing that, what do? You give it to yourself. You try to give it to yourself as much as possible. So if you're in a situation like this, the first thing I would say, obviously, talk to your mom. If she's receptive, you won. If she's not receptive, you need to come to the conclusion that your mother is not the type of person you thought she was. And if you need to grieve that, grieve away. I am a proponent of crying your feelings out, okay? Grieve away, but then after you've grieved, give that to yourself. Give the support that your mother isn't able to give you to yourself as much as you can. I mean, you're only 19 right now. How much support can you really give yourself? But if you're dealing with a similar situation and you're not 19, try to give that support to yourself, or surround yourself with friends who are going to give you that support, because it's very important for us to have that. It's very important for us to have that community and that support system so that we know we are not alone. Like that is one of the most important feelings in the world. You don't ever want, I think that's also why people are suffering a lot, because they really feel like they're alone. No one else is going through what they're going through. But that's when community comes in. Community comes in and picks you back up when you're at your lowest, when you feel like nothing is going your way, when you feel like you've tried your best, but it's just not working. This is when community comes in. This is when your support system rises and they push you back up so that you know, okay, this is just temporary. It's not permanent. It feels permanent, but it's not. And it's temporary, and slowly but surely you navigate through that. And if you can't get that from your mother, that society tells us, mother knows best, your mother's going to be there to nurture you and blah, blah, blah. If you can't get that from your mother, you need to get that from someone else. Or maybe if you're mature enough, get it from yourself. But at 19, even at 20, even in your 20s, I would suggest try to get that from someone else. And it is unfortunate, but I think that is the best way to navigate this. But yeah. I'm so sorry you have to go deal with this. I know I cannot imagine not getting support from my mother. Like, if you guys have ever been in my channel, the first person who actually comments on all of my video, my mom is on top of it. Love her to death. I really love that woman, but I cannot imagine how it feels to not have support from your mother. If you don't have support from your mother, you have to get that support from somewhere else, because I think that's something that we all need. To a degree, not just kids, not just babies, like we, even as grown up, as adults, or as parents, we do need that nurturing maternal support. Oh, okay, maybe not maternal, because it can also come from a dad, but we do need that support system of knowing that someone has our back, because it's nice. It's really nice. All right, so that's where I'm going to end. Thank you so much for listening to this advice. And please let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Well, we usually get our advice on our website, which is kitchentableadvice.com. That's where we get most of our advice, as well as business inquiries. Our website also has a plethora of other stuff. We have blogs where I just write about anything and everything. We have art that I have a label, weird contemporary art, as well as poems that just take a dark turn. So if that interests you, then please feel free to visit the website. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.